I'm making another album. And since last time, it feels like about a million things have happened. So it's kind of hard for me to know where to start. But a short version is that I have, in the last episode of the album, I talked about how going from convergent thinking to divergent thinking was a challenge. And I felt when I was talking on the last podcast that I kind of cracked it. But I realize now, with the progress I've made this week, that I probably wasn't even 25% of the way into kind of freely creating ideas. Because as a result of a Magic Music Machine call a couple of days ago, where one of the coaches, the wonderful Joni, so we at the end of each session we as a group, everyone who is there writes in the chat what they're going to do, what their intentions are, what their commitments are for the following week. And it's a really great way of being accountable to a group of people who are doing the same thing. But also, what you end up doing is you end up sort of like the person who is doing the best, you end up going who is doing the most, you end up kind of gravitating towards that. It's a way of lifting all boats. And I started, I always say what I'm committing to, and I said I'm going to do 15 splurges. And I don't know, a couple of people later, Joni said, I'm going to do 50 splurges in the next week. And then that made me think, oh God, what am I doing? Why am I only doing 15? And so I thought about this because I write down what the commitments are on the screen so everyone can see them. So I can write down everyone's commitments. So, and I thought, I think I'm actually still overcomplicated things. And what I need to do is just think about, right, what is the core of my music? If everything was removed but the core elements, what would remain? Because that's what I need to be splurging. Rather than kind of adding beats and this, that, and the other, or whatever it might be, I need to focus on the core of my music. And one of the core elements now is my voice, is my singing, for better or worse. Probably worse most of the times. So for better or worse, my voice is a central element. Another element is the piano, and then, but that alone, it doesn't really cover it. The other thing is a kind of weird electronic sound, some kind of weird electronic sound. So, okay, so if I was to only splurge using those instruments, what would I do? And what I came up with was I would play the piano and this weird electronic sound, or, a weird electronic sound. It doesn't matter really what it is at this stage, but weird, sort of unusual electronic sound. That and the piano at the same time. So, in other words, I'm pressing record on both of those tracks. So whenever I play a piano note, it also plays the sound. So it's like layering it automatically. And just me singing. So what I've started doing in the last couple of days is simply selecting a random preset on a particular plugin that I'm using called Choreographs. And so selecting a random preset on that, having the piano sound already, and simply improvising a little song over the top of that. Well, literally just playing and singing. And that, including exporting, bouncing and saving, takes me around 5 minutes. And the other thing that I have been doing is really working on my voice. Now, I'm going to talk about the whole auto-tune versus not auto-tune question on another album podcast, not on this one. But essentially, through a couple of singing lessons with the wonderful Laura, and through my own trying things, I'm now no longer using auto-tune at all. And my goal is not to use on auto-tune on the 6th album at all either. I'll talk more about that in exactly why in a future episode, because I think it will be valuable, a way of thinking about what it is that you're doing and what you might be hiding from and all of that kind of thing. But essentially, what I'm doing right now is the most raw version of Mike Monday music. I mean, the way that I'm splurging at the moment means that I literally can't. I can't focus on quality because what is coming out is very authentic, maybe a little too authentic sometimes, but it really is that. I mean, there's no hiding. I mean, I was saying this to Laura yesterday, and it's like, it kind of feels like when I'm splurging, I'm running around naked. Completely naked. I'm just like, there's nothing covering up what I am, right? Warts and all. It's that kind of thing. And really, in doing this, in getting to this point, it's made me realize just how many things I'm doing to avoid what I am. And so here's my crazy plan. I've done, how many have I done? I've done 53. I think I've done 53 splurges in total of this 100 splurge challenge to start the 6th album. And that means I've got 47 left. The thing is, 24 of those I've done in the last 2 days. And in the last 2 days, I've only had an hour a day. So yesterday and the day before. I've only had an hour to make music. So with this new, extremely stripped back and very raw splurge template, unique instrument, as I call it, it's called your unique instrument in Make Music Your Life world. It's a way of thinking about what you're doing. With this, I've managed to do 12 splurges, 5 minutes per splurge, including exporting in an hour. And I thought this morning, well, why don't I try and do the remaining 47 splurges today? And so I thought it would be fun for me to state that goal here and then either record a new episode of the album, so there'll be 2 released at the same time, or just simply edit it in afterwards. I'm not exactly sure. A lot will depend on how much I have to say as a result of doing this crazy challenge. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to attempt doing 47 splurges in the time I have available today and see where it gets me. I mean, if I can do it, where it gets me, and if I can't do it, why I can't do it. What has stopped me from doing it? Because, I mean, really, it's been such an eye-opener to me. I mean, even given how often I talk to people about creating freely, how often I talk to people about the barriers that you're putting in your way between you and your music, the amount of time I talk to people about quality through quantity. It is amazing to me that even though I do all that, I have been still struggling after the end of finishing one album and moving on to the next one, struggling from going from that kind of finishing, improving, refining, polishing mindset to this just free creation one. It is absolutely amazing to me that I haven't been able to switch, or I haven't switched. I haven't been able to. I'm sure I could, given that I've now had this experience this time. The switch over from album 6 to album 7, I predict is going to be much easier because I'm learning from this one. But it's like a universe of difference between what you do when you finish to what you do when you start. And now I'm in this place where it's just coming out. The music, for good or ill. Like, some of it's terrible, some of it's good. There are some absolutely terrible bits. There are some okay bits. Now I'm in this freely creating ideas place. It's become super clear to me that where I will find my authentic voice is in this quantity of ideas created, is in being me, just freely being me, without this, oh, but what if I do that, and in 10 steps ahead, then I'm going to make it difficult for myself, or oh no, but what will people think? It's just this bare, naked, this is me, and allowing that to happen. First of all, just allowing me to be me, allowing warts and all, the bad bits to be displayed. That is where I am by definition. And of course, that the stuff that I make in this state of just purely creating, isn't the finished article, is going to be something that I change and edit and refine and polish. But it doesn't make sense to do anything else but allow the meanness to exist, untrammeled, right? Unedited, unaffected by anything other than what it is, because that is where I will find my authentic voice.